Good evening. Thanks for joining us. This is NTD Business, and I'm Paul Graney. Small business optimism tanks again in January. We speak with the Federation's New York director. Inflation is the buzzword of the week. Is rampant money printing driving up the price of goods? And is your pocket ready? And a family is suing Robinhood over their son's tragic death. They're asking if the trading platform could have done more. That and more coming up on NTD. Small businesses aren't optimistic. The number expecting better business conditions over the next 6 months is at its lowest level since 2013. The National Federation of Independent Businesses is behind the monthly survey. Ask Greg Barilla, the Senior Director at the New York branch, what his businesses are telling him when they call.
Well, it's just uncertainty and anxiety about the future, and that obviously is compounded because that uncertainty and that anxiety has existed for 11 months. I don't think any of us, small businesses included, thought in March when the emergency declarations were made and we understood the pandemic had come to America and started first in New York City and downstate New York, that we would be in this position almost a year later. So it's really just it's anxiety and it's uncertainty about the survival of so many small businesses that we know and love.
And what do they want? What do they need?
I really think clarity. In New York State, they want to know when they can reopen, when they can begin operating in something that resembles normalcy. In New York City, key industries are still completely shut down. Industries that drive tourism. Obviously, restaurants haven't even begun to reopen for indoor dining. That's not set to begin until Friday. And then in parts of upstate, we've had similar scenarios in different cities. But every business is operating with capacity restrictions. They're operating with health code restrictions. And businesses are more than happy to do whatever they need to keep the community and their customers safe. But they are just looking to have some idea of when they can begin to plan for their future, grow and rehire.
And are we seeing a difference across different states, and what do you think accounts for it?
Without a doubt, we're seeing differences across different states. I mean, we've had 50 different approaches to this pandemic in terms of economic openness or lack thereof. In certain states and in certain industries that have had restrictions that were less severe, regardless of state, you're seeing sales optimism a little higher. You're seeing hiring and wages escalate. But in those businesses like retail and hospitality, tourism, entertainment, fitness, and so many others, the uncertainty is just crippling.
I think one of the last times we spoke, probably around March of last year, April, May, I'm not sure, around the summertime maybe, I believe you wanted more PPP. You wanted some financial help, perhaps, for the businesses. Have we gone beyond that? Do the businesses, they don't need another Band-Aid? They need to see if they can operate by themselves?
I think it's a combination. The PPP program, the original one instituted in April of last year or late March of last year. And then the second draw opportunity of PPP, which was enacted in the end of December, they were lifelines for small businesses, particularly in states that have more economic restrictions. They have absolutely saved the bacon for Main Street mom and pop stores, and they have kept people employed. They have worked, they have done what they were intended to do, but to steal a phrase from you, they were only intended to be a Band-Aid. It's not a long-term solution. It's to keep folks afloat until they can reopen and really drive a national and state economic recovery. So PPP programs have been a success. From where I sit, I hear from members every day that it absolutely saved their business, but it's not a long-term solution. We need a plan going forward that small businesses can prepare for.
Do you guys have any forecasts about what might happen in the next 12 months?
Well, I can't sit here and predict the next 12 months after having lived through the past 12 months. I know that the index that you're reporting on today that we're discussing has several components that look forward to predict economic optimism and small business optimism. And several of those components are down, particularly in general business conditions and sales expectations. That can be problematic, not just for the small business community, but for the economy across the country. We know that small businesses employ our neighbors and stabilize our neighborhoods. And if small businesses are struggling, that will continue to trickle through the economy and really, really limit our economic recovery.
Of course, so important, even for competition, for everything, small business is so important. So Greg, I hope you guys can hang in there. I'm sure things will turn around very soon.
I appreciate it. Thank you for reaching out.
Thanks. That's not just small businesses unhappy with New York. The New York Stock Exchange says if the state imposes a stock transfer tax, the NYSE may just leave the state. As global customers all want to minimize cost, and history's lesson is clear. If you try to squeeze more revenue from financial firms, the business just goes elsewhere. Strong words. But for now, all's well on Wall Street. The Nasdaq ended at a new closing high Tuesday, and the other two major indexes were mostly unchanged. The Dow fell about 10 points, or 0.03%, S&P 500 lost 4 points, or 0.11%, but the Nasdaq added 20 points, or 0.14%. GameStop shares tumbled 16% to $50. Don't know if you're still holding them. Recommend not. Bitcoin surged above $48,000 for the first time today before stabilizing above $47,000. Twitter just reported earnings after market close, beating profit estimates, but its user growth missed target. It says user growth could slow in the upcoming quarters. Keep an eye on it. So the stock markets are overheating. Stocks are historically expensive relative to earnings. And now, are we starting to see in the broader economy inflation, rising prices? Not great when you're already struggling to make ends meet, or even just trying to preserve the value of your cash in a world of zero interest rates. Treasury Secretary Yellen isn't worried. She says, keep the printing presses on, go big or go home. But every day there are new voices warning that inflation is coming and it's a problem. If you've been watching us at NTD Business since last year, you'll know Daniel Akaya and I have been talking about the dangers of inflation since the first round of stimulus. How long ago was that? Lakaya says it's the poor and lower middle class that get hurt most by inflation. The prices of the things they buy can increase by twice as much as the general CPI. So the Biden administration has a choice on their hands. It wants to help people by printing more money, but on the other hand, every dollar it prints causes prices to rise. So what can it do?
It is very difficult because what you would need to do to curb monetary created inflation, like the one that we have been mentioning, the base effect and the fiat currency debasement, finds itself clashing with the desires to spend a lot more and increase the deficit. So governments find themselves almost in a very difficult situation in which they have to, on one side, try to help the weaker part of the economy, the citizens, the worse off citizens, with significant subsidies, but at the same time, the policies that they're undertaking are affecting these people the most. No? So in essence, to be fairly honest, what the Biden administration should do is to return to a sound monetary and fiscal policy, is to try to be less aggressive on the deficit and significantly less aggressive on the monetization of debt by the Federal Reserve. That would certainly help. And I think that would certainly help. Why? Because unlike other developed economies, the United States economy is in a more robust recovery process. So the U.S. administration could actually afford to be less aggressive in terms of spending and continue to drive the recovery further, which depends fundamentally on the vaccine process, which is going very well, and the and keeping the essential businesses open for as much as you can.
We'll see if it happens. They seem to be preparing a $2 trillion package as we speak. And from a wealth perspective, Daniel, do you make any changes to your portfolio on the headlines we've seen or not?
What we have been doing is we have been increasing our exposure to inflation-linked bonds and to gold and precious metals in general. I think that's one of the ways. The other, I think that we spoke about it at the end of last year, is that we became more exposed to the US dollar, particularly relative to the euro, because the situation of the US economy is much stronger than the European one, and the policy of the Federal Reserve, even being extremely accommodative, is not as aggressive as the one of the European Central Bank. So basically just adding a bit of defense to the portfolio.
Oh, it's really chaotic market at the moment, right? Daniel, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And is Washington state about to steal from the rich to give to the poor? Amazon founder Jeff Bezos might have to pay $2 billion, it's billion with a B, a year in state taxes if it passes a proposed wealth tax. NTD's Tom Ozimek has the details.
Some Washington state lawmakers want to impose a 1% tax on the state's wealthiest residents. Jeff Bezos' net worth is estimated at around $200 billion. That would mean he'd owe $2 billion a year. State Representative Noelle Frame sponsored the bill. She says the state's Department of Revenue estimates the tax would bring in around $2.5 billion a year by taxing some 100 billionaires. She says it's not clear if the estimate includes Bezos, since he might no longer be a resident of Washington state. The Tax Foundation found that only about a dozen people would be liable for the tax, and just 4 people would account for around 97% of the revenue the tax would generate. Besides Bezos, the 3 other mega-billionaires that would face the brunt of the tax are Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates, Bezos' ex-wife Mackenzie Scott, and former Microsoft CEO Steve Ballmer. Lawmakers in New York and California have also proposed wealth taxes. President Joe Biden has rejected taxing wealth on an annual basis, but he has proposed raising taxes on accumulated wealth at death. Tom Ozimek, NTD News.
An online social forum website thing, Reddit, is now worth $6 billion. Its value doubled after raising $250 million to continue its expansion. Of course, Reddit is home to the Wall Street Bets forum that was at the heart of last month's retail stock trading frenzy. Another platform has more than 50 million active users, and its advertising revenue is up 90% from a year ago. Reddit CEO Steve Huffman says it was a good market to raise funds, thanks zero interest rates. The company will invest in video, advertising, and consumer products and expand into international markets. Existing backers of Reddit include Andreessen Horowitz, Sequoia Capital, and China's Tencent. And the family of a young trader who committed suicide is suing Robinhood for his death. They say misleading communications caused their son to panic over what he wrongly believed were huge losses. NTD's Patrick Hayden has a look at this tragic story.
It's news no parent wants to hear. Last summer, 20-year-old stock trader Alex Kearns committed suicide after he thought he had a negative balance of over $700,000 on Robinhood. Now his family is suing the company for his death. The lawsuit says their son tried to contact Robinhood 3 times to ask about the balance, but wasn't able to speak with anyone. It claims this put him into a highly distressed mental state. The complaint alleges Kearns ran in front of a train to kill himself in order to protect his family from paying his debt. Robinhood sent him an automated message more than 24 hours after he tried to contact the company. It said he didn't owe any money at all, but it was too late. He had already committed suicide. Robinhood said, "We are devastated by Alex Kearns' death and that it is improving educational materials and providing more life support staff." Monday's lawsuit says Robinhood has an obligation to know its customers and make sure their trading strategies are appropriate. But instead, the broker preyed on inexperienced investors. The lawsuit argues if anyone had bothered to respond to Alex Kearns, he would still be alive and well today. Patrick Hayden, NTD News.
Robinhood didn't immediately respond for comment. They said they would respond within a few days. And sales of the iPhone 12 mini in the US were just a small fraction of total sales of its new phones in early January. Analysts even speculate it could lead to Apple scrapping production of the mini. Conway G. Gittins has more.
When it comes to smartphones, a recent look at iPhone sales show that bigger really is better, at least in buyers' eyes. U.S. sales of the recently launched iPhone 12 mini were just 5% of all sales of new Apple phones during the first half of January, according to data provider Counterpoint. The report is adding to signs of muted demand for the mini version of the beloved device. Last quarter, Apple smashed iPhone sales records, raking in nearly $66 billion for its flagship device. Apple launched the mini as a way of covering all price points in the smartphone battle, but larger devices have proved to be more popular as consumers increasingly use their mobile devices to devour more video content on the go from a wide array of streaming video services, as well as binge on visually rich social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Snapchat. Lackluster demand for smaller screens is not an Apple issue alone. As an analyst at JP Morgan pointed out, global data show sales of devices with sub-6-inch screens only make up 10% of all smartphones sold. There's some speculation by analysts that demand for the smaller iPhone 12 and the Mini are so weak that might lead Apple to scrap production of the Mini as early as the spring. Apple was not immediately available to comment.
Yellen did say go big. Still to come this evening. Automakers feeling the pain from the global chip shortage, and now two companies cut sales targets. And China scolding Tesla over consumer complaints. Is quality control slipping there? That and more after the break.
유치원 폐쇄 명령서입니다.
전 폐쇄 명령 받아들일 수 없습니다.
유치원 폐쇄 명령이라.
좀 들어간 건 어떻게 됐어? 도저히 방법이 없대?
정일도 사장님을 대신해서 제가 대신 말씀드리면 안 되겠습니까?
90% of news outlets in the United States are controlled by 6 corporations. They're not out to tell you the truth of what's happening. They're out to tell you the picture of the world that they represent. The mission of the Epoch Times is to chase the truth, to ground all statements in facts, and prevent people from being misled. This is a battle between truth and deceit. Subscribe today and join the Americans who are seeking truth and tradition. We'd love to have you on board.
Honda and Nissan say they'll sell 250,000 fewer cars this year, says the global chip shortage hits production. Both automakers have rebounded from the slump caused by the virus, reporting better than expected results for the last quarter on Tuesday, with Honda COO saying they had to swap around and adjust production plans, but that still wasn't enough. The global auto industry has been grappling with the chip shortage since the end of last year. Now, Asian chip makers, including Taiwan's TSMC, are expanding production to help, but say it might take some time to increase output. And Chinese regulators have called in Tesla over customer complaints. The electric car maker has enjoyed an unusually warm welcome in the communist country. It's the first wholly foreign-owned car maker there. NTD's Patrick Hayden reports.
China's top market regulator says it met with Tesla over customer complaints. Defects mentioned include battery fires, unexpected acceleration and software failures. It told the automaker to comply with Chinese laws and regulations. It added that Tesla needs to strengthen internal management to ensure the safety and quality of its products. Tesla Shanghai said it sincerely accepted the guidance of government departments. The tone of the message seemed quite obedient compared to how Elon Musk has publicly sparred with US authorities in the past. China's public dissatisfaction with Tesla comes as the company is ramping up production of the Model Y at its Shanghai plant. This follows global recalls of some of its other models affecting imports in China. It also faces growing competition from China's domestic rivals. The summons perhaps marks a change in relationship between it and the Chinese regime. Tesla says it will investigate the problems and set up inspections. Patrick Hayden, NTD News.
And China has blocked access to the Clubhouse audio app. It's a trendy new social media platform you need an invitation to get onto. But it ends a brief window that allowed thousands of mainland China users to join uncensored discussions online. Clubhouse user numbers soared earlier this month after Elon Musk held a surprise discussion on the platform with Robinhood's CEO. Masses of new users joined from mainland China that took part in open discussions on topics that are not permitted by the Chinese communist regime. But last night, Chinese users started saying they could no longer access the app. Anti-censorship website greatfire.org says China blocked the app around 7 p.m. Beijing time. And still to come, are you spending more on groceries than you would like? Well, just stick around. We have tips on how you can save and still eat the things you love. And self-driving cars could be just around the corner. A BP oil refinery is testing new technology that could be used in any car. Find out more after the break.
Why are millions of Americans moving their money into gold and silver? It's simple. The world has never been more unpredictable. The biggest economic crisis we've faced since 2008, and a government that's about to print trillions and trillions of dollars. That's why so many Americans are turning to gold and silver to protect their nest egg. American Hartford Gold is a trusted name to help families to safeguard their wealth. With an A+ rating from the BBB and 5-star ratings on the biggest review websites like Trustpilot and Google, American Hartford Gold can help you convert any qualifying IRA or 401k into precious metals. Or they'll help you to easily purchase physical gold and silver and deliver straight to your doorstep. Learn how you can protect your wealth with gold and silver today. Get this free 2021 information guide. Call 866-893-1493 or text TV to 65532.
Chances are groceries are taking a big bite out of your monthly budget. And experts say unless we really look, we're probably spending more than we think on food. So we have some tips to cut your spending while still eating the things you love.
Groceries eating up your monthly budget? Experts say a bit of planning can let you keep more cash in your pocket while still enjoying your favorite items on the menu.
Our food spending is the silent killer of our budget.
Financial counselor Kamiko Love recommends following these 5 steps to reduce spending. Number 1, always start with a list. Before you even head to the grocery store, take inventory of your pantry, fridge, and freezer.
I pick out recipes based on what I already have at home, and I create that list of what I still need to get.
That way you buy only what you need instead of what you're tempted to buy. Number 2, shop from home. Avoid temptations at the grocery store altogether and shop online for grocery pickup or delivery instead. It's easier to delete items from your virtual cart if you're over budget.
But it also allows you to compare pricing very easily because it puts all similar food categories together.
Number 3, don't just check the price. Look at the price per unit. Many times it's cheaper to buy items as a whole instead of buying pre-cut or pre-made products. Number 4, use a loyalty app. Join your grocery store's loyalty programs, follow them on social media, and download their apps to find coupons and other deals. Number 5, buy generic over brand names.
Store brands or generic brands are a lot of the times made in the same facility as the brand names that we gravitate towards.
And then another leap for self-driving technology. A British software company has a new product that can make any car ride autonomous. NTD's Andrew Thomas has the story.
BP is testing self-driving cars at an oil refinery in Germany. The software comes from a group of Oxford professors.
So BP is partnering with Oxbotica so that we can do a trial of their universal autonomy software and a live environment at BP's Lingen refinery, which is in Germany.
The Oxbotica car can drive completely autonomously for more than 110 miles around the site, with a safety driver behind the wheel in case of emergencies. BP says the vehicle navigates the refinery's busy junctions, narrow paths, railway crossings, and various terrains in both day and night in unpredictable weather.
This trial that we're actually running right now is the first fully autonomous driving test to be carried out in BP and the first refinery environment trial for Oxbotica, so a couple of firsts in there.
Autonomous vehicles could improve safety at the site by increasing monitoring trips that look for irregularities, faulty equipment, and security threats. Oxbotica says their software is compatible with any vehicle. It can also work independently of any external technology such as GPS.
So autonomy is really important to BP. We have digital at the heart of our strategy, but digital capability only really comes to life when you can see it in a kind of physical manifestation.
BP says the technology makes their vehicles safer, greener, and more efficient. The global energy business recently invested $13 million equity in Oxbotica. Andrew Thomas, NTD News.
As the latest business updates for today, you can still catch NTD Evening News at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. For NTD Business, that's all for today. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
Hi, we're happy to announce that you can also catch us on cable TV now. Millions of households already choose us as one of their trusted news sources, and you can too. You can watch us in Chicago, Washington, D.C., New York, and many other cities as well. And if your system doesn't carry NTD yet, you can just give them a quick call and request NTD on your cable provider. Thank you for watching. See you next time.